Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining our conversation about the probiotics today. And I'm happy you take a little bit of time from a busy holiday season to give a chance to say hello to our guest today and have an exciting discussion about probiotics. Our guests today are coming from they bring the sun from Madrid and from the north of Spain. And they not only bring the sun, but they also bring an exciting conversation about probiotics. Our guest today will tell us more about more about probiotics, but I would like to start a little bit about, tell you more about the Westchester Biotech project and how they started. Joanne, the executive director, she's not yet here, but she's going to join us probably a little bit later on, and she's going to tell us, maybe ask us more questions. But I will brief you a little bit about the Westchester Biotech project and how it started. A parent had her son, Michael, had his son saved by stem cells, and he felt the need to bring scientists together in order to develop new therapies for other parents like him. And I think this is a very important goal to be able to bring scientists, data scientists, researcher, engineers together. And that's also very important, especially in the microbiome field, because microbiome field is so new and there are so many players in the space. And it's not only hard to bring to solidify a new field like microbiome, but it's important to be able to bring this therapies and diagnostic tools which a microbiome provide to the market and to the patients, and that's the most important part of microbiome. And our mission is always to bring scientists, data scientists, and researchers together. And it's important all those pieces to be together and start the conversation. And Kit Boschan, the CEO in the Institute for Life Science Entrepreneurship, he's going to maybe join us later for questions. I'm Adela Bonoiu, and I'm the Chief Scientific of Catena Biologic. And our company is a consulting team involved helping the same to bring technology from a concept to the market. Joanne here, she's going to join us probably a little bit in the question section. And here we have more information about the guests which have come to Westchester Biotech and have answered questions and have create this multidisciplinary platform where scientists come together and people come and ask questions and bring those technologies. I would like to introduce today our first speaker, Esther Jimenez. She's the project director at the Probisearch, and she's going to talk us today about probiotical therapy, the research and the development of a new probiotical solution. She holds a PhD in food science, and she is the project director of Probisearch, and she has more than 10-year experience in research and development, and she works with probiotics, developing probiotics in humans and in animal health. And I met first Anna, and she told me about the team behind the Zinereo, and I got so interested to meet those people, and she was so proud about their work and how important is when you have a clinical trial to make sure is designed properly with proper regulation. Because when you talk about FDA, you only talk about pharmaceutical products, but not many people are aware about the fact there is a whole process which is behind bringing a probiotic compound to the market. And that's what Esther today, she's gonna tell us about.
Okay, thank you again for your invitation to participate. For me, it's a real honor. And as Adela said, I will summarize what should be behind the development of a probiotic product. I will talk to you about which is the definition, the official definition of probiotics, which are some of the characteristics that probiotics should have to be such as probiotic, who used to regulate about them, and finally, which are the steps in the development of a probiotic from bench to market. In 2002, an expert consultation group of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the World Health Organization defined a probiotic as live microorganisms which, when administered in adequate amounts, confer a health benefit on the host. And this definition has been official and the only one since then. Although an expert panel was convened in October 2013 by the International Scientific Association for Probiotics and Prebiotics to discuss about this issue, the issue of the probiotics. They stated that the definition made by the FAO and the World Health Organization was really the one that should be with, but just with minor grammatical corrections. If you see, there are just 2 commas. And this definition from them was reinforced as relevant and sufficiently accommodating for current and anticipated applications for probiotics. This group of experts from ISAP additionally review some of the inconsistencies that were that they detected between this expert consultation report from the World Health Organization and the guidelines that they also published in order to select the correct probiotic strain, or which were the characteristics that these probiotics should have. They ask for a more precise use of the word probiotic that could be useful for clinicians and consumers. So they differentiate between those products that here you can see a framework for different probiotic products. And in one hand, we have those that show evidence for health benefits, and depending on the nature of the benefit. But probiotics can have different means of administration, can have different means of target species, host species like humans or animals, can target different populations, infants or elder people, can target different sites, the gut. Mainly we always think in our gut when we think in probiotics, but there are all other mucosas, distant mucosas, that can be also be beneficiated by these probiotics. There is also different efficacy endpoints and different regulatory categories. This group of experts stated that, of course, all probiotics must be safe for their intended use. And as I said, they differentiate between this probiotics group from those other not considered probiotics, that are those fermented foods with undefined microbial content or undefined consortia. For instance, nowadays there is really nice and very in-deep science behind the microbiota transplants, but this cannot be considered as probiotics. It's true that there are other fermented foods that have enough evidence that supports the beneficial relationship between them and different reduces of risk of certain diseases, such as, for example, it has been described that some fermented dairy products have been associated with a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, less weight gain, or for instance, there are some other observational studies with yogurt with yogurt products, and where it has been shown at reduced levels of triglycerides, glucose, a lower systolic blood pressure, a better insulin resistance compared with non-consumers of yogurt. So as I said, there are the probiotics, and additionally there are other fermented foods with proven beneficial effects on the health. But there are two different things. Unfortunately, there are many products with the word probiotic in their labels that are not and cannot be probiotics, such as those that you can see in this slide. Unfortunately, the marketplace has many products carrying the label probiotic, but too often they don't meet the definition or the minimum criteria, such as the defined content or the appropriate viable count, or at the end of the shelf life and of these products. So watch out and look at these products, because maybe they are not properly probiotics. Which are the probiotic characteristics? Well, there are as I mentioned before, the World Health Organization together with FAO define or describe this, publish these guidelines for the evaluation of probiotics. I will talk more in depth later, but and overall, you can see that it's very important, the identification, the functional characterization with these in vitro and in vivo tests, the safety assessment, if overall, if these strains of these bacteria are not in the QPS list of EFSA qualified presumptive of safety, or it's not considered as GRAS by the FDA. It's very important, the efficacy evaluation. As Adela said, clinical trials are very important for probiotics when we are looking for beneficial effects on different indications. And of course, we should develop it in a scale-up system where what we see at the lab, it can be also seen in industrial production. One thing that for me it's very important, because it's not a concept easy to understand. It's that all the effects of a probiotic are strain specific. That means that the effects of one strain, even it belongs to a very well-known lactobacillus, for instance, lactobacillus species, may not have the same probiotic characteristics that other strains in the same species. This is not really true, but I like to use this slide for the strain concept. All of us belong to the Homo sapiens species, but for sure that inside the Homo sapiens species, each of us are a different strain. So we have to think that this is also happening with the probiotics in any or with any other microorganisms. To belong to a species, inside a certain species, there are many strains with different characteristics. And among these characteristics, some of the most important are those related with the antimicrobial activity, such as pathogens inhibition, the production of bacteriocins that are similar to antibiotics, but produced by bacteria. All of them have this antimicrobial activity. Some of them are able to produce hemolysis that we should consider. It's important as well, the adhesion to intestinal cells, the gut survival to ensure that our strain is able to reach our intestine alive, and the immune response, that it's super important because it is already stated the relationship between probiotics and our microbiota and our immune system. Sorry, because I know that I run the time, but I will go a bit faster. EFSA is the agency that regulates probiotics in Europe, and FDA is the one that regulates in the States. These are the main ones. For sure, there are other agencies all over the world. EFSA, for instance, publish every year a list of the QPS bacteria and other microorganisms that can be used as probiotics, while the last guidance of FDA was published in 2018. We have also to consider that there are other stakeholders that are linked to the probiotics field, but they should work together, and there is no apparent reason for obstruction among them, and all of them are important. Here there is, which is the probiotic development and how the level of scientific proof increase together with the financial input that it's needed for this development, and also which is the business commitment that also increased at the end, overall, at the end of this process. More specifically, the identification of the strain is very important. As I said, it's important if it's possible to do it through the genome, complete genome sequence of this strain, in order to know if it has also antibiotic resistance, for instance, or produce different virulence factors. It is important to perform clinical assays in order to look for the safety of the strains, but it's super important to perform clinical assays in order to ensure the efficacy, the dose response, replication of findings, biologically plausibility, different steps that we should like if it was a drug, because we are looking for a response, for a beneficial effect in most of the occasions, very similar to different drugs. And very important at the end of the process, or while we are doing the clinical development, is the industrial development, the industrial production, the scale up. It's very important to ensure that we will have the same bacterial count of our probiotic at the end of the shelf life of our product, to ensure that we will always have this beneficial effect of our product. And that's all. Sorry for this almost 3 minutes, additional 3 minutes, but thank you very much again. And here is my email for your questions or whatever you need. Thank you.
Thanks, Esther, for presenting us and in a way brings a little bit of light on those steps which are behind the scene. And I think it's important for us to understand probiotics are important to our life, and they are highly personalized for each of us. And I think this is the message we always should carry with us. And it's a lot of marketing. That's the problem. The problem with probiotics is the fact marketing, everybody puts probiotic. Soon we will see it on a shoe. You know what I mean? I think that happened with gluten too. And I feel like there is a hype and there is marketing. And what I was attracted, what my attention was attracted about when Anna was talking about how important is to pay attention to the clinical trials and do a good work behind the scene. And I feel like this is, in a way, probiotics are hurt by this hype which is on the market. And I feel like probiotics can help people which they suffer from Alzheimer's, to autism, and also improve the efficacy of a chemotherapy. But because some companies, they use probiotic everywhere, we lose the trust. And in order to gain trust, we need specialists like you, like Anna, to bring us inside of your facilities in a way, and to make us understand how important it is to pay attention to those details and the science. Because there are probiotics, that doesn't mean you don't need to pay attention to the details of how you select how you test them, how you bring them in a clean process, to how you manufacture them, and after that, how you distribute. But more a little bit in a moment. After I would like to introduce you to Anna. She actually started my idea to bring you together today on a probiotic journey, and her passion for her own work sparked my interest, and today she's going to talk us about, she's a director at Zinereo Pharma. She's going to, I like the title, the 360 probiotic journey from the concept to the market, because we need to understand the whole journey and which are the players involved in this journey. And she's going to cover, she holds a PhD in medicinal chemistry, and a master in marketing management, and a degree in pharmaceutical science. And she has experience in, what I like her about experience is in a way, she takes the science to the next level. Because if I'm a scientist, trained as a scientist, and I realize as an entrepreneur, I need to learn the business side. And a great idea can get buried in between the layers of complexity on the research. But we need people like Anna. We need to bring them in a marketing and make them, in a way, our mission is to help patients. And we are just people's on this journey, and helping the patients, it's always the goal. And to be able to do that, we need to be able to be efficient through marketing. We need to do good quality on the research, on the clinical side, as well as bringing to the last step. Because if the product gets lost somewhere in this bureaucratic business journey, other products, which they kind of force us to look at them, they are screaming at us in a way. They never get a chance to see the journey, the light of, they never got the chance to go to the patient side. And today I would like to introduce Anna. She's going to tell us more about probiotics and this journey which she's always doing with her team.
First of all, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I think that we're having attendees from all over the world. And thank you so much for the nice presentation, Adela. And thank you, because it's really for us a pleasure. I also would like to thank you to Joanne in the name of Westchester Biotech Project, and to tell you that it's really a pleasure today to share our experience in Zinereo Pharma, and to say that in company we really applied 360 degrees in the probiotic arena, and with a pharmaceutical mindset. So today we are going to go through from concept to market, and I would like to invite you to start our 360 probiotic journey. So we will cover topics like product development from concept to market, just see a little bit regarding drivers of consumer centricity, principal challenge that we face, also to see a little bit regarding the regulatory requirements, and something which is really challenging in nowadays when we have a pharmaceutical mindset, but we know we have to communicate with our consumers with a correct communication and with the correct point of view. So let's start with understanding how we go from concept to consumer regarding the product development. The first thing we have to pay attention is to the consumer behavior drivers. And in here, I'm sharing with you the trends for 2021 that have recently been published by Mintel. And as you can see, well-being is one of the major trends. It was already in 2021, but with the COVID, it has been accentuated. And something which is really interesting is the consumers that we have in nowadays, they pay a little more attention to microbiome health, and they want to understand what's the science that is behind probiotics. And also, when they are looking for dietary supplements, they elect this category. And in nowadays, the more than treating a pathology, they want to have a preventive approach. Something which is really interesting is that when we look at probiotic trends, something we can see it's as awareness regarding microbiome is increasing. The consumer is asking for science demonstration. So something which is really important is having probiotics with clinical trials. And that's something that we used to work together with Probisearch in our teams. Also, they look for more specialized formulation, not one size fits all, but formulations directed to pathology. Something which is also a trend is the combination with probiotics with another ingredients. They can be prebiotics and we can achieve symbiotic effects, or sometimes with vitamins or with minerals. And currently, as we know, microbiota changes during the life cycle. It's also a trend to have probiotics directed for special needs, like when we have with newborns, or when we have, for instance, for a pathology in different life stage of life cycle. So with this in mind, there's something that always arrives when we start developing a product, is how we can reach at the same time our science orientation and achieve what is customer centricity. So here is the big question. It's like, who has born first? Is it the egg or is it the chicken? It depends. So sometimes we start approaching bad consumer needs. Other times we go to the market research studies. For instance, I can share with you that one product that we have developed that has as a target as fertility. It has arrived from a need, because we have found that there is a dysbiosis that is in the cause of an unknown cause of infertility, and then we have to reach and to see and to study the market to see. And yes, we can find this market is a market that owns the value of 31 billion euros, and that in Spain, for instance, we can reach almost 3,000 couples. So this is interesting, and we have to validate, and then we reach and we go for the products. Other times when we start with the needs, we have to do a good benchmarking and to see how it goes. And after having the big idea, it's important to see how we can make a strain grow up, and how can we achieve the efficacy and safety. So that are the two topics. And we always keep in mind two things at the same time. For one side, consumer, and having the proper segmentation, and also to study what he appreciates regarding the organoleptic properties of the product, even sometimes with focus groups. And at the same time, we start moving on the concept of product development, the formulation, if we are going to work with one strain, or we are going to combine more than one strains. Also, if we are going to add another kind of ingredients. And most important is when we are studying the product concepts, if they are going to be compatible, and also if there are going to be interactions. And we always search for synergics or additional interactions. If they are negative, we will have to go for another product. So in Zinereo, we covered 306 cycle, because as like Esther has told you, in Probisearch, we start with 2 first stages of research the strains, and also producing the master bank, and after we go for the fermentation, lyophilization. And in Zinereo, we will cover all the part regarding the pharmaceutical development, and also the stability studies that assure that we arrive to the final product with living bacteria, and that they cover the CFUs needed for having the effect. And in here, a critical step that is done in Probisearch, which are the clinical studies. So that's why we work in a synergy for achieving probiotics with quality, and also that are also safe. So that's why the quality and safety are our golden standards. And we know that these parameters are highly influenced by the way the probiotics are manufactured. And also how they are packaged. So for preventing unsafety issues, we always work preventing contaminations. And something which is really important is that the probiotics are produced in a segregated facility. And regarding the quality of the probiotics, we are always doing analytics, just assuring that we have the proper strain, and that we have also the stability granted. So starting for the strain, we have reviewed market, and now we have decided product, and now we are going to produce the strain. So in here, this is the first critical step. And in here, it's very important to achieve the proper combination of the conditions that are going to make the strain grow. And if we think this, like when we are cooking for 2%, for 5, or for 10, we are doing different analysis, and we are scaling up with the first and the second until we reach the industrial scale up always, and it's critical. Also, always the stability program to assure that probiotical strains survival is in a yield that's the yield that we want, and also that assures that we arrived with strain at the end. After the growing of the strain, we enter into the galenic development. It means reaching the final formulation, and we always try to adjust and have a formulation that is adjusted to the consumer needs. But for probiotics, and also to assure their viability, the most used are capsules or sachets. And in here we have to define to do all the galenic development, and that goes to the protocol definition, and also to select which is the better prototype. And after this, in the final step, it's critical that we can assure that conditions that we use for the intermediary product and the final product, they have reproducibility. And after, we'll go to the commercial manufacturing. So we have already covered the market and consumer needs, the manufacture of the probiotic strain and the probiotic formulation. And here we have at the same time to deal with regulatory issues. And we have to start in it from the beginning. When we are dealing with internationalization, and when we know that different markets have different demands, and also the claim defects is one who is going to move us in a determined regulatory path. This is very important from the beginning. We work with several categories, but what you know is that currently in Europe, there is not specific legislation for probiotics. And even in European, there is no harmonized. So no specific health claims are allowed for probiotics. There are some moves more recently, maybe something will arise, because in 2020 in Spain, in 2021 in Netherlands, in Denmark, it is authorized to use the term probiotic, but it doesn't mean an healthy claim. So as I was telling you, different categories have different needs. We are used to work with food supplements, with food for special medical purposes, and with cosmetics. And just something which is really interesting is when we are dealing with cosmetics, they are not probiotics, because probiotics as living organisms are not allowed. So in here we have another derivatives from microbiome science, which are prebiotics or postbiotics in this area. And legislation changes, and we have to be prepared. For instance, until 2017, probiotics were allowed as medical devices, but a new regulation that has arisen has changed this, and it doesn't not allow to have biological material, including live microorganisms. So for now, all formulations that are as medical devices, they will have to be changed. And also, as regarding internationalization, as I was referring you, different countries, different needs, and we have to be very keen from the beginning if our products are going to comply and what kind of adjustments we have to do since the labeling. Father mentioned that sometimes are obligatory in some countries, some ask us for having CFUs and other ones ask us for milligrams, or some things change between countries. And now that we have covered the market and the production and also the regulatory issues, we enter in something which I really agree with you, Adela, it's a challenge, is how are we going to do a proper communication, and what challenge do we face in here in a category that we know most of the times we have the probiotics in the category of dietary supplements, and in here we don't have any authorized claim by EFSA. Until now, it has rejected all claims for probiotics, and in marketing for us it's critical, as you know, to reach most of the targeting which reach one-to-one consumer. So something of our strategy goes to producing non-branding materials and just try to increase the awareness and education for this category and its proper use. And when we are dealing with materials that are branded from ourselves, we always take care of not crossing the line and not publish anything that has a non-subsistence health claim. And something which also is very critical is how we are going to comply with the labeling regulatory and in a way that is appealing for the consumer. So in here, I think that the companies and the companies with a pharmaceutical mindset have a really important paper in which is increasing the awareness and the education also for this category. And we also have the challenge of customizing the market to different markets and that have different regulatories and that have different needs and also sometimes different claims and different categories. And just to tell you, to work in all of these 306 solutions, it would be impossible without having a great team behind. These are part of the team that is responsible for achieving. All of them are experts in their technical fields, and together we can work to move this forward and to contribute to the probiotic growth, in which is a perspective from a pharmaceutical mind of set. I think I have gone a little more than 10 minutes, but just thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm going to share also my email on the chat. Thank you very much.